So some of you might already be aware of the smash new hit song Hi Ren by a dude whose name is also Ren. And I've watched the song like 50 times, I can't get over it. And today I want to do a reaction video to it, talking about it from a place of honesty. I want to look at the integrity of the song. You know, this is, as far as I'm concerned, the perfect example of turning honesty into an art form, showing that it isn't just non-fiction. Honesty can be done as art. So we're going to go into it. If you haven't seen it yet, you're in for a treat. Now, I do tend to unpack things quite heavily, so I'm going to break this up and go through it in different bits and talk about the honesty and how it's been expressed. So if you'd like to watch the whole video, I recommend you just go to the link, which I'll post below. Just a little bit of foreshadowing there. For those of you listening maybe for the first time, the guitar's a little bit discordant, deliberately. And when you find out what the rest of the song is about, the theme of mental illness and everything, even the guitars being honest. I don't know if this was filmed live or not. I know he has a lapel mic on, and I know he likes to do one-take videos, he likes to do things live, and he does them really well live. So I suspect some or all of this video, the sound we're hearing in the filming is actually from the video rather than like a pre-recorded track. So there's even authenticity in how this is presented. There are little errors in the guitar, and then there's also discordant things that aren't errors, but they're a little harsh on the air, which play to the theme of mental illness. You know, mental illness has this imperfection to it. So you're going to notice that throughout. Pay attention to the guitar when he's not singing or rapping. And also his voice, you'll know there's not errors so much, just imperfections, and he leaves them in there, which is actually what makes the song so perfect and so honest.
Hi there, Ren. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down, you know that. Deep down, you know I'm always in periphery.
Frozen on a funny face there. So the rest of the song is obviously a battle between the voices in his head. And I love the way he starts out by sort of saying, "Hi again, I'm back. I always come back. I'm always in the periphery. You know I'm always there. Even when you're having a good time, you know I'll be back." And he acts this out so well. Watch when he does this voice, there's like a pride, a kind of superiority complex that this side of him has. Like, I own you and I'm back again. And the sort of sarcasm, did you miss me? You know? And he just so perfectly embodies that inner critic we have, just that harsh voice we have in our head, and just how superior and sarcastic and devastating it is, and how it just always comes back.
Ren, are you pleased to see me? It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me.
Biting off the hand that feeds me. Not only are his bars just on point, his fucking lyrics are amazing. But the implication there is, you know, this is the voice we feed. So this voice is like a, you know, it's in the host body. It needs us to survive. So this inner critic feeds off us, and we can't stop it from doing that. We keep it alive. So I thought that was really interesting insight.
Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm making some progress lately, and I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill.
His acting's so good in this. And what he's showing you here, he's got like a timidity to him, like he's almost apologetic as he tries to stand up to this voice, like a lifetime of knowing how powerful this voice is, and how reactive it is when you try to talk back to it, when you try to establish some dominance over it, the way it comes back at you. He can see it coming, and he's kind of saying, no, just, we're all good, leave me alone. And he just knows how it's going to react. This is just, the acting in this is so honest, not just the music.
Oh, Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect to always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy.
I know I'm going to break this up a lot, so if you want to hear the song in full, just go watch it and give the dude some support. Notice there's also truth in what the critical voice says, and this is what makes critical voice so devastating. There's bits in there that he's kind of pointing out that have some accuracy to them, like, you think pills just going to make all your problems go away? Of course not. And that's actually true, but it's also a way of discouraging you from doing anything that's helpful by saying, if it's not going to work out perfectly for you, don't even bother. And that's what the discouraging voice often does to us. Because something will only work like a 6 out of 10, it says it's not good enough, when actually a 6 out of 10 is amazing. It's a huge progress. It's a massive relief. Like if you were to take medication for psychosis, for example, you're not going to end up being this perfect human being, but it's going to be way better than having unmedicated psychosis. But the voice will just tell you there's no point, it doesn't work, nothing ever gets you to perfect, why bother? And it's a way of discouraging you from doing any progress. And it's a really devastating little manipulation it does there.
Nah, mate, this time is different, man, trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me, I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one. So you see, you gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not
Fuck, he's just so good with the lyrics. Again, the sort of hopeful version of him is trying to be shameless about his strengths, and this is one of the hardest things for us to do in terms of honesty, is to remove false modesty. To go, actually, I am fucking good at something, and I don't mean I'm good as in I'm better than other people, but the thing I do is like a gift. It does well for other people. I feel good doing it. I have a certain level of talent and skill that I'm proud of and that I've earned. And the voice, call him the dark Ren, he hates acknowledging strengths, and as soon as you try to acknowledge your strengths, it's going to call, that voice is going to say that you're bragging, that you're somehow harming others and making a fool of yourself, that it's selfish to embrace these gifts. It's the kind of voice that talks you into playing down when you're in a job interview, talks you into not releasing your music or playing something safer rather than something dangerous and more real. And then this last little rant, you can't amputate me, you have to kill me, kill yourself to kill me. Again, the voice will always tell you that you need it. The voice will tell you that, and he's about to go into it here, that it's a necessary voice, like the voice that puts pressure on you, the voice that discourages you, the voice that tries to hold you back, and the voice that tells you to be modest about your strengths. It comes with this narrative like, this is helpful for you, this is going to make you more successful, you should listen to me. And he's just playing this out really well.
left over dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Wow, your Grammys ran nowhere. Yeah.
And another way their voice is going to destroy you is by always setting the goal far beyond wherever you're at. I call it the rainbow effect. Like, you can never catch up to the rainbow. So no matter how well you're doing, and however you measure well, you can always imagine better, even if that better is totally fictional, which of course it is. And the way this voice really discourages you is it takes whatever win you've got and just wipes off the board by just adding another layer to it. It only has to be one step better, but often it goes quite extreme, like, oh, you've been playing music for 6 years and you don't have a Grammy yet? You suck, You didn't make it into the Olympics, you're not a very good runner. Right? It does it to me all the time with coaching. You'll be like, what, you've been doing YouTube for 7 years and you've only got 3,000 subscribers? It's like, okay, well, I guess I suck then. And it's just, it'll take whatever you've got and say, that's not enough because I can imagine you doing more and other people did more by the time you were here and so on. And in this way, like I said, you get a 6 out of 10, but it just turns it into a 0, which discourages you from doing anything, which is the real secret motive of this voice, to keep you down, to keep you the same, to keep you from doing anything unfamiliar and scary.
Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics, or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connected, and the people who find it respect it. And for me, that's enough, because this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious.
The voice, that discouraging voice, there's nothing you can say that it can't turn against you. It's so good at doing that because it is you and it knows you. You know, imagine how well you'd be able to manipulate someone if you could see inside their mind from the day they were born and you knew everything about them. I mean, it'd just be like typing commands into a computer. It'd be a piece of piss. Well, the voice inside your head has been there. You know, the witness has been there your entire life. It knows your greatest fears. It knows your weaknesses. It knows what moves you the most. So it always says the exact thing to just destroy you, and it comes up with it like that, and you can never shut it up. No matter what you throw at it, it will destroy it. So this guy's basically said, look, I've given up on trying to be a big deal with quantity. I'm just going to do quality for a few people. It gives meaning to my life. Some people have shown that like they connect with it and they like it and respect it. So that's enough, man. I can see like this is me living by my, my values and doing something good with my life. And the voice just straight away turns on him. Was like, oh, you're fucking kidding yourself. You're just pretentious. You're just trying to make it sound like you're doing something noble when really it's just needy. It just, even when you're doing things for the right reasons and that's your motive, it will pretend or challenge you into thinking that you're not even doing it for the right reasons, that you're kidding yourself. So even when you're trying to live with integrity, it'll try to convince you that you're only pretending to live with integrity, pretending to yourself so you can get away with like needy, pathetic things that are the real reason for what you're doing. And so when I'm coaching people, and including in my own life, people trying to live with integrity, quite often they go through phases where they're just like, is this really integrity or am I just kidding myself? And this voice has just come in and like killed them for doing the right thing. Brutal.
Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing we neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix.
Again, I'll just sort of emphasize that's the point where he talks about how like necessary the voice is. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to give you perspective, keep you in line, stop you doing something stupid, and stop you taking risks way beyond what you can handle. Just constantly trying to sell itself as being the reason for your success. Quite often I'll say that like if you've done well with something and you felt like you're under pressure to do well the whole time, that voice will tell you that the pressure was good, that was motivating force, that kept you going, rather than admitting the truth, which is the pressure slowed you down and you would have done even better if you were relaxed and being kind to yourself.
Forget it. Man, it's not like that. Man, it's just like that. I'm inside of you twat. No, it's not, man. You're wrong. When I write, I belong. Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius. He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious. Eminem did it. Played on guitar. Plan B did it.
Comparison to others, isn't that the weapon of choice? Right? Especially for any kind of talent or performance or skill set. Your brain will always hunt for someone who's better at it than you or done it before you, and it doesn't need to even be right on point. So, he compares himself to Eminem and Plan B. Now, they didn't do exactly what he's doing here. In fact, what we're seeing here is really fucking original. I haven't seen something this original since Bohemian Rhapsody. But his brain, which he perfectly demonstrates in the song, which is actually what makes the song so original, that he's talking about the difficulty in believing that he's original. Comparing him to Eminem, I mean, how are you supposed to compete with Eminem if you're at the point of releasing this video, he's just kind of like a very popular busker. how unfair is it for that voice to compare you to some superhero in your genre and compare you unfairly? He's not doing what Eminem does. Eminem doesn't play guitar, but as soon as he says play guitar, Plan B did it. You notice that anytime you argue with the voice, it's got a counter, which is a hint, and he goes into this near the end, to spoiler alert. Arguing with the voice is actually what causes it to get louder.
Man, you're not original, you criminal, rip off eyes, the pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material. Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore. Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves, and I'll shake up the whole world beneath it.
I'm going to stop interrupting so much because I want you guys to enjoy the flow a bit more than this. What do you notice? The video gives the impression that the voice is the bad one and the other one's like the good one. But actually, they're both creating waves here. See, the other one's saying, I'm a genius, I'm going to make a big impact. It's getting a little attached to outcomes. It's getting a little attached to like things beyond just doing this for the right reasons, but also kind of wanting to be this thing and be big. And it actually provokes the other voice. See, the more you kind of say it like, I'm going to be great and I'm going to do all these great things and like call your shots like that, it makes the other voice go, no, you're fucking not, right? And so there's some truth in that darker voice where it's saying like, you're trying to control things you can't control. You're calling shots that aren't yours to call. You're focused on things that aren't yours to control. And there is like an element to truth to that where, hey, what you said before, like, I'm just going to write music and I hope some people like it. The voice is going to attack you on that as well. But yeah, it's interesting. Both of these voices are aggravating each other and battling it out. And as the song plays out, you'll see where that goes. I'm going to stop interrupting it so much and just let you enjoy it a bit more, but I'll have more to say as well.
That's right, speak your truth, your fucking god complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to actually hear you say it instead of downplay it. Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus. Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren. Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren. I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to down my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots, and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside.
I don't want to interrupt the next bit, so I'm going to let that play out in full. But what I love here is like thing. If you keep fighting with the darkness for long enough, eventually you really kind of provoke it and it does a full-blown takeover. We've all experienced that where we're sort of battling with that inner demon, constantly trying to do the right thing or trying to achieve something and going against the voice and arguing with it in various ways. And then it's almost like we push it too far and it just explodes on us. We get full-blown depression or apathy. We have a stress burnout. We get into this funk where we just hate ourselves and hate everything for like a sustained period of time. We're really irritated by everything and can't see the good in anything, get really pessimistic. It's kind of like you can't poke the bear that much without it eventually eating you. And he's about to do this thing where he shows that kind of process where the thing just takes over and kind of makes a case for itself to say, there's no point arguing with me. Everything is as negative as I say it is because I've been there since the beginning and I understand it all. And I am, he's also going to do some commentary here on how this thing is just human nature. We've always had it. It's what all the stories are about. And give you a hint that maybe this is just a normal thing that we all experience. I saw another person react to this and they talk about the pride in his voice. He's such a good actor. The pride when he does this little bit. Just listen to that pride. Newsflash. I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason, beheading all kings. I am sin, with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender when standing in front of my solar eclipse. My name is stitched to your lips, so you see I won't bow to the will of a mortal. Feeble and normal, you wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of ends. I am you, you are me, I am you, friend. The bit at the end, I mean, the rest is just poetic genius. It's worth looking up the lyrics when you see how well he's thought this out and how many like references to various sort of themes: Christianity, Satan, and so on. But right the bit like I am you, you are me. This idea that this isn't some separate entity. You know, this voice in our head is always horrible to us. This isn't like some alien infection. This is the human mind. This is how it functions. It can't help but have this duality. We all have a discouraging voice. It seems like that's its job. I won't go into the details here, but my basic theory of it is that we have some evolutionary fear designed to keep ourselves safe, and over the years it's manifested into this thing, this kind of constantly contrarian thing, this thing that doubts all the time, discourages all the time, criticizes all the time, constantly battles for taking the easy way out and playing it safe. Because, 200,000 years ago, that would have been a really helpfully guiding voice because we were very high risk. We were middle of the food chain. We died very early for often, it's very rare to die of old age. It's usually something else that got us, other tribes and so on. Resources were fought over and sometimes scarce. It's a voice designed to keep us in check and not get too fucking ahead of ourselves at a time where that would get you killed. But being a musician, that there's no risk in like having a go for it. But the voice doesn't know that. The voice still thinks that you're trying to take on the chief of the tribe, or that you're doing something that's going to get you ostracized, or that you're walking into saber-toothed tiger territory, or something like that. And it's trying to keep you safe. But the way it comes across is just criticism of any idea that you have. And if we take it seriously, if we take it on the content, like, oh, you're not a very good musician, you're not original, we think that's what it's talking about. But all it's really saying is, you're trying something new and unfamiliar, and that freaks me out. And that's all it's ever saying. And now we're going to hear from the other side, the voice that actually gives us the ideas in the first place.
Hi Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rain falls soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beaten.
I don't want to interrupt this bit too much, but it goes on epic. There's a couple of key things he's pointed out here, and that is there's seasons to all of this shit. No matter how shit life is, night always ends and dawn comes again. If you can look at it that way, if you have the patience for the bad luck to do its course, you got the patience for the injury to heal, or the sickness to, this guy was really sick. He had Lyme disease and psychosis, and Lyme disease is a fucking nightmare, right? Like, you'll go from doctor to doctor to doctor, they'll all tell you a different thing, they'll all give up on you, nobody will fucking diagnose it, and you can be sick for a very long time. It's one of the worst chronic illnesses you can have, simply because it's so confusing for medical professionals. Just very few of them are able to pick up on it, and nobody even really truly knows what it is to this day, because you run someone through the tests and they seem to be fine on paper, and yet they can't get out of bed. They start being told that they're making it up, or that it's psychosomatic. So this guy's been sick for a very long time, and if you want, you can go check out, he's got video blogs from when he was sick, and he's just this like teen boy who's just in the depths of despair, like one step away from suicide, trying desperately, like clinging to the world with his fingernails, saying, I really want to live, but I don't think I can anymore. It's brutal to watch. It's quite amazing to see where he's at now. He's so healthy now. It's just like, yeah, fuck yeah, you made it, Now, his storm lasted a very long time. A decade he was sick, as far as I understand. He said, I've spent half my life ill. And a lot of us don't realize that just because a storm's been going for a very long time, the darkness has been happening for a very long time, that doesn't mean it will never end. It's just when you're in it, it seems like a long time. When my baby's crying, and like she can't get to sleep and she's crying, after it's done, I'll come out, I'll be like, fuck, I was in there for an hour. My wife will be like, no, it was like 7 minutes. 7 minutes? Oh, God, that's worse than exercise time, when you're in the darkness, it feels way longer than it is. And even when it is a long time, like when he was sick, there would have been moments of joy, there would have been good bits, but the dark voice would have like plastered over them and said it's all shit, you know? But if you can take a moment to just keep an eye out for when the sun comes through the clouds a little bit, so to speak, you'll notice it actually happens quite often, and it always eventually happens. And this is the bit he sings about now. I'm going to let him finish that, and we'll finish out the song.
I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch your shame.
Didn't once flinch your shame. There's a part of you, if you can tap into it, the most honest part of you, this observer, this kind of like benevolent eye, what a lot of people would think of as God, that watches you from the inside. It's been watching you since the day you're born. It's the only thing that hasn't changed since you were born. Your whole body's changed, your brain, your beliefs, everything have changed since you were born, many, many times. But this one thing that's watched has been the constant, the observing eye. And there's a bit where, you know, you're ashamed of yourself. There's something wrong with me. I'm a bad person. I'm different. Nobody likes me. I'm unlovable. All the various things. I'm not good enough. And there's a dim awareness we usually have that something's watching us do that. And it just feels nothing but compassion. It knows that that's bullshit. It knows there's nothing wrong with you. It knows that you're just a human and that everything you're doing is your best effort given the circumstances, given your upbringing, given your genetics. You can't do better than this. There's a part of you that knows that. The observer knows that. But the observer really speaks in a whisper. It's very hard to hear it. We very rarely hear it. I mean, I often think of as mental illness as being out of touch with that voice, really. And that's the voice of your core values, your integrity. And the way you just said, I never once flinched your shame. Like this idea, it's kind of like a parent, a very loving, healthy parent watching their child, and the child's like, does something wrong with the drawing. I'm so stupid. And the parent just goes, no, you're not. Like, I know you think that, and I get why you think that, but you're not. You're fine. You're perfect. You know. And if you can tap into that voice, you can at least at brief periods. I don't think I've ever sustained the feeling, but brief periods, you can just get the sense of just warm compassion washing through you, where you just go, oh fuck, it's fine. You know, I had a moment once. I won't go into details because I don't want to stretch this out too much, but I was really in the pits, just like, fuck, what's wrong with me? I'm always doing this fucking thing. Like, what the fuck? What am I fucking broken? You know, I was just like really down in it. And then this voice just kind of laughed at me. Just said, yeah, you're fucked up, dude. It's fine. And it was a really compassionate voice. It was just like, you're fucked up. Of course you're fucked up. Everyone's fucked up. What are you complaining about? Just be fucked up. It's fine. And it was one of the greatest moments of self-compassion I've ever had in my life, where it was just okay to be fucked up. It's okay to not be okay. You know, he's really tapping into that here. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Let him get through all the way to the end.
So coward the man I've become when I sing from the top of my lungs, that I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspired and made to be strong. And when I am gone, I will rise in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a coin into different side.
Here comes some wisdom from someone who's suffered. This is worth listening to.
When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax. And I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget that we are human beings.
But we do forget, don't we? We forget that quite often. So he's really nailed the kind of conflict that most people go through here, which is instead of understanding that you'll always have periods of darkness and light, it'll be easy and hard, easy and hard. Even if you're doing everything right, it'll go like that. That it's unstoppable, that breathing rhythm of life. If you fight against it, it swings harder and you have more highs and more lows. And eventually the lows are so devastating you don't even enjoy the highs, so that's when you crash into depression or you get bipolar type effects happening. And what he's saying is most people battle when they should just dance. So one way to think of it is rather than like when the darkness hits, when times are rough, thinking of, oh, I must have failed, there must be something I need to do, I need to solve this, it's a problem that needs to be fixed. It's more like, what's a good way to play this out? What's a good way to react to this? I saw Tom Hanks talking about this using stoicism. This too shall pass. You can say this both in good times and in bad times. Like having a real rough time, this is going to pass. You're crushing it at work, this is going to pass. You're suffering from the depths of mental illness and just want to kill yourself. Wait long enough, it's going to pass. You're really high, everyone loves you, you're fucking winning everything. Yeah, that's going to pass too. So if you just learn to kind of cruise with it as best you can, just go, okay, it looks like we're settling down for a winter. What's a winter activity? Read more books, spend time with loved ones, relax, try to just sort of breathe through it, tone down the to-do list. And then when things are, abundant and going well, okay, well, let's make some gains. Let's use this. But not resisting when the pendulum swings. That's what he's talking about here, I think, is that he just stopped resisting the swings. I'm sure that when he's on a high, he writes heaps of music and does well, or maybe he just performs heaps. Then when he's on a low, maybe he writes, he taps into that darkness and comes up with some epic shit. And he spends time with family and just tries to eat healthy and just, pass through to the night. So, a brilliant portrayal of honesty as an art form. I really love this. I hope this guy does well. He's going to be a great influence in the world. Thank you for watching my reaction. Go give this guy some love. Go share it around. Let everyone know about it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of piece of art, a masterpiece. It should be shared around. Thank you for watching.